Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about volume of a cone. So let's begin. First we're going to say to find the volume of a cone, use the formula of volume equals 1/3 times the base times the height, where B is the area of the base and H is the height of the cone. And the reason we use 1/3 is actually because a cone is 1/3 of a cylinder. And there's ways to prove it. There's plenty of videos out there. We're not going to do it today, but there are ways to prove that this cone will fill up one cylinder. One cylinder 3 times. So what you need to do is take 1/3 times the base times the height, where B is the area of the base and H is the height of the cone. Well, to find the area of a circle, if you remember, you find area of a circle, you do pi r squared. So pi times r squared, which r just means radius. And if you remember, radius is just that from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle. How long is it? And they give you the radius for each and every one of these. So you're going to say, we're going to use 3.14 as our pi. And if you want to write that on the top of your paper so you don't forget, 3.14 is equal to pi. So don't hit your pi button, don't put it on or any fraction. We're just going to use 3.14 for our pi. And then you would take the r squared, which is just saying 5 times 5, or you can say 5 squared. And you say that gives us 25, and you say 3.14 times 25, and it gives you the 78.5 inches squared for the base. Well, that's just for the base. So we plugged that in. We plugged in the height, which was 12 right here, and then we plugged in that 1/3. And so you're going to say 1/3 times 78.5. Now, the opposite of saying multiplying by 1/3 is dividing by 3. So if you want to just say 78.5 divided by 3, that's okay too. Or you can just put in multiplying by 1/3 in your calculator. It is easier to say divided by 3, however. So then you're just going to multiply by 1/3, that's 78.5, and then whatever answer you get, you're going to multiply that by 12, and that should give you an answer around 314. We are going to round to the nearest hundredth, which means we should have 2 numbers after the decimal place. So let's do this first one together. The rest are going to be on your own, and that's the assignment for the day. So we're going to say our volume. Oh, one more thing before we start, actually. I'm glad I remembered. As you can see, they put our volume in inches cubed. That's because we're talking about 3 dimensions. We're talking about height, we're talking about the base area, and then we're also talking about that 1/3, but in this case, that'd be the width. So remember, volume takes up 3 dimensions. It's for 3-dimensional figures. And so that means we're going to have our label be cubed, which means it's just got 3 dimensions. All right, so for this one here, we have our volume equaling 1/3, remember we have our 1/3, and then we need to find our base here. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Remember, that just means multiply by 3.14 as our pi times our radius, which is 2 squared. So our radius squared would be 2 squared. Put that in parentheses because that gives us our base. And then we're going to multiply that by the height of 3. So first, let's figure out the stuff in the parentheses, which is our base. So we have 1/3, and in our parentheses, gosh, that's a hard word to say for me. We have 2 squared, which is going to give us 4, and we still have that 3.14. Now, most of you can put this in your calculator and get it fast. I'm just going to take the long way so everyone sees every single step I took. Times 3. Now we have to say, what is 3.14 times 4? And we have our 1/3 times, and we no longer need the parentheses because we have one number, which is going to give us 12.56 times 3. And that's just saying this times this. Now we can multiply all of them. And this you can actually just put all into your calculator. 1/3. And then again, if you want, you can just say divided by 3. So 12.56 divided by 3, or multiply by 1/3, whatever works for you, times 3. And then that should give us an answer of our volume equaling, and I'm going to actually write it over here because we have a space for it. Our volume, over here, I'm sorry. I'm not going to write it here. I'm going to write it here. So our volume should equal 12.56 centimeters cubed. Please make sure you're labeling that as part of your answer, writing down centimeters cubed. So then, that is how you find it. That's just saying 1/3 times 12.56 times 3. And the reason that it happened to be 12.56 is because multiplying by 1/3 and 3 is going to actually cancel each other out and leave you with just 12.56. This 1/3 times 3 is actually just going to end up being 1, and 1 times 12.56 is 12.56. That won't happen every time. It just happened to happen this time. So follow those steps, and you should be able to answer every one of these. If you have questions, shoot me an email. Bye, guys.